Hey guys, this is Chelsea with Hennapreneur, and today I'm here with Shirley. And you know what? I'm super excited because she's telling us all about things about her business that's based in Malaysia, which is pretty awesome. It's a first in the showcase. So I want to welcome you. Hey, how are you doing?
Hi Chelsea, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing so well. I'm so glad to have you. Tell me, first, let the people know your name, your business name, and where exactly can you be found in Malaysia anyway?
Okay, my name is Shirley and my business name is Shirley'z Henna Artwork. And my hometown is known as Ipoh, and I work in a place known as Kuala Lumpur. So mainly my business areas, I take clients in Kuala Lumpur, Selangor. These are the names of the areas. And then back in my hometown, Ipoh, during weekends and certain public holidays. So this is where I can be found.
I love it. So Shirley, tell me, how long have you been doing henna?
I've been doing it since approximately 2005, 2006. Yes, I started at those years because in school I used to just draw. I wasn't good in art, not so much. But I think when I was like 17, I realized that I can actually draw exact images of cartoons. I still have those sketches. So I can actually replicate the exact, it started out with Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, these kind of cartoon images. So I realized that I can draw something. And during my college event, there was once that we had a charity event, and one existing henna artist she was very exhausted after a few days of drawing henna for people. And my friend said, hey, drawing, why not you just help her out? So it was just that during that event, I picked up a cone and I started drawing for the customers. And the weird thing is, it didn't feel new or it didn't feel odd or awkward. It just felt very connected. And to the extent that my professor's wife, she came for the event and she asked, how many years have you been doing this? And I said, it's just my first day today. And she was very shocked. She was like, are you serious? You're really good at it. So yeah, after that the interest grew, and then I started getting cones, and then of course we would always try the people near to us, and these would happen to be my housemates, my sisters. So I'll just buy books, I'll just buy cones, and I'll just try it out of them. But the only problem is at that time I didn't really know the existence of natural henna, and in Malaysia, instant henna or the chemical cones are what we find in stores. So when we mention henna, that is the thing that seems normal for us. So I started off with instant henna. In fact, I tried learning natural henna through the website, but it didn't work. In fact, maybe I didn't know where to get the proper supply and all. So now I'm fully into natural henna after many years.
I feel like well, of course, you see like a very specific style also in Malaysia. I feel like any work, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, the work is very specific. There's definitely a regional style there, and you can tell that the trend is definitely towards that instant henna, the bright red cherry colors. It seems that that's what people are looking for.
Yeah.
How long? Oh, please go ahead.
Sorry. Because customers, what I've come across is customers, they really like that particular color. They say, I want cherry color, I want red color. And then we have to start educating them. And then we tell, no, natural henna gives burgundy, maroon, brown color, depending on your skin tone, depending on your body heat. And some do not want that color. They want that bright red. So it's quite difficult actually to instill their mind with choosing natural henna. So, but I think now personally, I see a trend of people accepting natural henna. In fact, they are requesting the henna artist to provide them with natural henna. So I think the awareness is growing the recent years.
Oh, that's so good. Well, I feel like anytime you're dealing with education, especially if you're taking on a market that's so used to one thing, that education
Correct.
it can be hard, but
Mm,
once it picks up, it's like wildfire, I think. So
yeah,
with
true.
was the instance in 2015, 2006, or I'm sorry, 2005, 2006 when you were working there, on that first day, was that the first time that you had henna also, or do you have a history of henna before then?
No, I've not had henna myself. In fact,
Really?
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So, but of course, I've seen people adorning their hands with it.
Uh-huh.
But it's just that during this event, I just wanted to help a person, and I picked up the cone, and it just felt so in tune, like I'm very connected with it. So that's how I started.
I love it. I love it. You know, I feel like for me, I started henna in 2011, but I had one experience with henna before then. Oh, and maybe 2004. That was when I got something like on my wrist. Someone did something for me, and I was so like, I loved it so much. And so it's always interesting to hear if the first time that they do henna is like also their first experience with henna as a whole, or if they've had henna before prior. So that's so cool. That's that's so cool.
Mm.
So you're at this event, you pick up the cone, you feel like it's just coming to you so naturally. Did you immediately
Yeah.
think maybe I could have a business with this, or did you find that it was over a course of time that you're like, okay, I'm pretty good. I can do something here.
I didn't immediately think of a business. It was more of a fun and a passion kind of a thing. So everywhere I would go, to these Indian stores and all, you can get the design books. So I would buy some of those, and I would buy the codes, and then most of the time I will try it on my housemates during college days. So I'll just doodle on them. And then I think the first customer I had was during my college days also.
Mm.
My college mate, she wanted me to do a henna do for her sister's engagement.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. So it was just a very simple one, and it was very minor charges, like per design, those kind of things. So it's just for a trial to see whether it worked or not. So I think after that, one of my working colleagues, a few years after that, she hired for her sister's wedding. So even that, I told her I do not know how to charge. You just give me what you feel like you give or you want to give. So that was my first, I think, official business.
That's I
So,
love it. And I have to ask you, am I hearing the azan?
yeah, yes, you do.
I
You are
am
hearing it.
loving that. You have no idea how excited this makes me. Oh my gosh. Okay,
Is
sorry. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. Okay. I've never like I've not been to a city where you hear the azan called. So to hear it there, that's so surreal for me. You have no idea. I'm loving it.
Yeah. In
Um,
fact, Malaysia is multicultural.
I
Yeah.
love it.
So
Ah, oh, I'm dying inside. Like I can't. My heart is so happy now. So okay, so let me ask you then. Over the course of those years, did you find like for you as a one, how did it feel? Because I know you said you felt like you were very in tune with the henna, but how did it feel? This prospect of finding something new, henna, um, and being able to take that on as a creative outlet.
it felt like an escape actually.
Mhm.
Not not in the early days. In the early days, I just simply did it for fun. And I think I started taking henna seriously. I think about 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I moved to Kuala Lumpur from my hometown Ipoh after working there for many years. So it was actually moving out of my comfort zone.
Mm.
So moving into a new place, being alone, sometimes I think the loneliness gets to you. So I think henna somehow saved me from that. So after coming here, I actually had the opportunity of joining classes. There was one class I joined first on learning how to mix the natural henna paste. And I also learned how to draw the figures, the Dulha Dulhan figures. So that's the first class I went officially. Before that, it was all self-taught. And short time after that, I was able to join a henna meet locally with a local henna artist. Her name is Lina, or well known as Nakri's Mehendi. She's quite popular here. So she just had a meet and greet with some henna artists. So I just joined for fun. And through that, I was able to meet a lot of other henna artists and connect with them. And a few months after that, I was able to join another program by Jayaseelan from Singapore. Yeah, she came to Kuala Lumpur. So I grabbed that opportunity to attend that as well. So I think these past 4 years were the time that actually escalated in my henna business. So my mind also, because I was also into instant henna, because I think it was just a lack of awareness. So I think after going to all these programs and all these meets, I think it kind of opened my eye to natural henna. So I started experimenting. I started buying those products, essential oil, mixing it on my own, making my own trial and error. And now I'm actually selling natural henna paste. I'm selling my own aftercare products. I'm doing henna sealants. I'm doing henna balms. I'm doing aftercare oil. So I'm actually selling all these items. So I think these past 4 years, I'm personally seeing a growth in my career in henna business.
Oh, I love that. I love how you take the shift from instant cones to learning natural henna, then to investing and learning in other ways, and then like launching a whole retail line. I'm geeking out. I love that so much. It's so
all
cool.
This happened with this in 4 years. Yeah, in just 4 years. All this while I've never, it was something that I never thought to myself that I would actually be doing something or selling something. It was never in my thought. It was never in my plans or whatever. It just happened.
I feel like those are the best things though. When it just happens naturally.
Yeah.
So okay. I have to know, you jumped into these like community meetings and going to these classes. Were you at first, was there a sense of overwhelm, or did it all just kind of, once you started to get that education, it just came naturally, like, okay, this is like a no-brainer, I'm going to make the switch, and that was that? Or did you find that making the transition from instant cones to natural henna was a challenge? Maybe not even for you, but more for your clients.
I was pretty scared because most of my client base was the ones who wanted instant henna. And I know it would be difficult to penetrate that market, natural henna market, into an area where instant henna is actually leading. So it took me some time actually to decide. For a time, I actually offered both. To the extent I even told the brides, you can actually have a free trial. You can try both instant henna and natural henna, and you can choose what you want for your actual day. And surprisingly, most of them actually did choose natural henna at the end. They liked the way natural henna turned out. So after a while, I decided, no, let's just move on to natural henna. Let's just take the risk. And I did it. And now I think I've seen more clients are actually coming for natural henna. So I think there's no regrets in the decision I made to choose natural henna at the end.
So I have to say, and I I feel like maybe this is going to be controversial to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think, so as natural henna artists, right? Our community, we can get a little bit judgy about the use of instant henna and chemical hennas and so forth, and rightfully so, right? We understand that there's a harm associated with them. But I have to tell you, I actually really like the way that you went about making the transition from you saying, hey, let's do the trial and you can try both. Because if you have an audience who's already they're using the instant henna and they're going to choose it regardless, you have to give them the
Yeah.
opportunity to try it in a way that's like, that's
True.
non-invasive and in a way that's non-threatening to their larger event, right? Because the worst thing for a bride is
Yeah.
I get henna and it doesn't work. So I love
True.
the way that you went about making that transition instead of just making the jump. And I feel like sometimes you'll, especially for natural henna artists, we hear like chemical cones and we're like, how could you? How dare you? Don't you know that it's harmful and whatnot?
Yeah.
But yeah, that like it totally it dismisses the fact that there is an audience who's existing, who loves henna and who
Yeah.
just needs the education. So I think that it's
True.
so
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I think that was brilliant how you made the transition. And now that effort is obviously paying off because your clients are there for natural henna. So
Because you need to slowly introduce that to them, because they are. In fact, I was so used to instant henna. For a time, that was the only henna that everyone in Malaysia knew. So I think you have to slowly introduce it to them in order for them to accept it.
mm-hmm. It's true. You know, in sales, there's this concept of give people what they want, but then serve them what they need. So people will come to you, right,
Yeah.
with one particular thing that they're wanting. And so you offer them what they want, but then you end up giving them what they need. And I think that this is a perfect example of how you did that in your market. And it's amazing. Like, I think that's lovely. So today, like, talk to me about your business today. What type of clients are you seeing on a daily basis?
Okay, so every week I actually have weekly orders for natural henna cones. There are a few number of regular henna artists who actually get their supply of natural henna cones from me. Not only that, this year I actually see a trend of brides themselves wanting to get natural henna cones to give it to their henna artists so that they can get themselves adorned with natural henna. So that's the trend I'm seeing this year. Apart from that, I'm also selling my aftercare products, the 3 aftercare products. And every now and then I do get some brides for their bridal henna. And I'm also teaching personal paste mixing classes every now and then, depending on the demand. So because I think some clients really love the consistency of the paste that I do, that they want to learn. So I actually conduct some personal classes to actually teach them how to achieve that consistency, what's natural henna all about, how do you choose the ingredients, where do you get the supplies. So all these are the things that I teach in the class. And last year I had my first henna workshop for I think about 7 participants. That was where I taught them natural henna paste mixing and also drawing for beginners, only for the beginners level. And also last year and the year before that, I had an opportunity to speak in our local Malaysia henna conference.
Wow.
Organized by Nakris Mehendi. I mentioned just now Nakris Mehendi, yeah, she organized it. So I was given the opportunity to speak on henna and health. Because I have a background in biomedicine, I'm a lecturer myself. So I had that background knowledge on scientific things related to the natural henna. So I was given the opportunity to talk about natural henna and health. So that was the other 2 things I did last year and the year before that.
That is so cool. I love that you can bring in both of the skill sets together and take this professional training that you have and apply it to henna also to educate. That's amazing. Wow. So do you find, like, in your typical work week, what is how much time are you having to spend in preparing orders and preparing your aftercare balms and oils and sealants, and what's your work process look like, if you will, to get those things ready and also to serve your clients?
Actually, currently my time is like so fully occupied that sometimes it takes me so much of time just to reply those who are inquiring information from me. So after my working hours, I actually come back and prepare natural henna cones. So usually I send the postages on either Monday or Tuesdays every week. So it means that mostly Mondays or the weekends I'll be preparing the orders. And about the aftercare products, it's not something that I do on a daily basis. That is mostly maybe twice in a month. So most of my time every day actually goes for the natural henna cone preparation, because every now and then I'll just get some ad hoc orders. Hey, it's quite urgent. Do you have some henna cones at the moment? So sometimes I go to the rescue. Yes, I have. So yeah. So actually, I'm quite pretty occupied.
Wow.
With
Wow. What type of clients are you? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I just wanted to finish the sentence. I just said that I'm so occupied that I don't even have time to think about anything else. That there's no such thing as loneliness anymore.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like it. Well, I believe it. I believe it. If you've grown a vibrant thing, and I think that's it's so cool. It's so cool to hear about it. So tell me what, when you talk about servicing clients, what type of clients do you service typically? Do you work with like bridal clients or like everyday appointments, or are you now mostly focused on the retail aspect?
Well, my consistent one is retail, weekly natural henna cone orders. And also I think the second most common one is my bridal henna clients.
Oh
So I
wow.
deal with them. Yeah. So mostly are the brides who's getting engaged or getting married.
Do you have is like typically in a week, do you see a particular number of brides and newly engaged women, or is it kind of like just is there like a season? I don't know. Here there's definitely a bridal season. In Malaysia, is there a season like that?
We do have, because most of my clients are Indian based. So Indians, they have certain months that's quite auspicious for them to get married. So in those months, we are fully booked, super duper busy. So even though I'm not booked, I will be very busy with the cone orders for other henna artists who are busy. So we do have seasons such as those. But even that, we do have certain months that they are not really encouraged to get married, or it's not very auspicious. But then now I think there's weddings every time, all the season. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have to know, what are these months? What are the ideal months for a bride? I didn't know that. This is news to me.
Ideal month. Okay. I'm not very familiar with the terms of the month because basically I'm a Christian. So okay, I think this comes January. I think before January. Yeah, I think somewhere in January. It's very hot. And then before July and after July.
Okay. So
yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, April and July is the month that we do not have many weddings. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to help you with that. I'm not very familiar with the month.
No, you're okay. I'm thinking like, because here it's not so much the months, it's more like the seasons. So like and it will be on a trend. So like this the past year, fall weddings were very much a trend. And I think that we're slowly making a transition to where people are wanting to have winter weddings. And this happens like it kind of like rotates. So like you'll see that it just kind of shifts like and this year, I know for sure, this year, fall weddings are definitely a trend.
Okay.
It just depends. And of course, people get married at all times throughout the year. But at least, here in the US, fall weddings are like, everyone's looking for a fall wedding. And I think maybe it just has to do with like the colors also, like which colors are in season that year. So then they're looking for the right colors to match their wedding. So then they go for that season. So I remember like even in the past, like maybe the past 2 years, the colors blush, like the color blush was very popular. And so people were wanting to have more spring weddings because they wanted all of the blush colors and they wanted to have like the weddings when the trees were flowering and so forth. So I don't know. That's why I asked. So like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if there's seasons there that's like, this one is a recommended time to get married, or if there's just a trend in fashion that would make them want to go, this is a good time. So tell me, like, so how long did it take you? Let me ask you this: how long did it take you to get from a place where you've learned about natural henna and now you've got this this product that you're comfortable using and that your clients now love, to, oh my goodness, here I am supplying products for other artists and like running this vibrant retail business as well? How long did that transition take?
That actually went by very fast. I can't believe it myself, because I think there was just this once that I prepared cones for myself, for a I think bridal henna, and I just posted it. I just said, okay, my cones are ready, and then I received a private message asking if I can sell the cones. So I gave it a thought, and I thought to myself, why not? Let's just give it a try. So that's how I got my first customer, and she was very pleased. And then somehow once I started posting, I just started getting orders every now and then. So it just started like a trial and error. So suddenly I just realized that I am getting the orders every now and then. So I started sourcing out, okay, where do I get the powders? Where do I get oils? Because I used to get it in very small quantities.
Mm-hmm.
That, even 500 gram of henna was a lot for me, because I didn't want to be like storing it and then letting it waste away. So I was just looking for 100 grams. Now I'm actually getting 10 kgs, when I go to India. So my supply has actually increased. So yeah, that's how I started. And aftercare items, I just gave it a try, because that was definitely inspired by Shirley'z Skins, because I went for her workshop. So I saw what kind of aftercare items she was having. So I just thought of giving it a try, and that turned out well as well. Some henna artists who tried the products, they really loved it. So again, trial and error here and there, and finally it all worked out well. I'll just say that it just picked up quite well, actually, very, very fast. Even sometimes I don't believe that I'm actually making something handmade and I'm actually able to sell it. All God's blessings.
I love it. So, like, are most of your customers, are they local to you? Are you shipping the products far? Like, in general, typically, where are most of your customers from?
Only locally,
Okay.
because natural henna cones are perishable.
Mm-hmm.
So most of my clients are just local.
Okay. And are you selling like from an online shop, or do they just make an inquiry with you by an email, or how do people find you to place their orders?
Mostly it's through my Instagram. Actually, I started through my Facebook page, but then I got into Instagram, and then I realized that most of my client base is from Instagram. So they usually send me a DM, and I feel that works the best for me. So I just reply, and then I send them the information, and then they make their orders, they make their payment, and then I send out their parcels. Yeah, that's how it's been working out so far.
So cool.
Nothing complicated.
I want to ask you, like, because now you have this line also of the aftercare products, and I think it's really interesting, especially from the standpoint, like, for example, I always tell my clients, I can never guarantee a stain for you. And sometimes people are like, wait, what do you mean? And I tell them, the thing is, I'm responsible for half of this. I'm responsible for making sure
Yeah.
that it's good quality paste and that it's natural and that it's going to be fresh and that it's potent, right? That's my job. But
Mm.
the other part of that equation is the aftercare. And that's
Mm.
totally up to you. And if the aftercare
Yeah.
fails, the stain fails also. And so I
Mm.
love that you leaned into offering aftercare products because I think that we have to educate our clients about also their responsibility in
Mm.
getting a good stain.
Yeah.
Have you
Mm.
found that most of the aftercare products that you're offering, have you found that it's artists that are purchasing them to sell to their clients or to gift to their clients? Or are you finding that it's more brides and those clients themselves who are coming to purchase the aftercare products for their own use?
At the moment, most of them are henna artists themselves. They are including my aftercare product with their package. So
Mm.
their customers get my aftercare products together with their service. And I also do have brides who buy the whole set from me prior to their weddings. So they are quite familiar with that. I understand where you're coming from. You're talking about, clients are responsible for the other half of it. So that's actually quite a struggle to actually tell them to, make them understand, because as I mentioned, we do not really have that awareness here. So what I actually did was, I actually made a very short 1-minute video in my Instagram account just to show them how the aftercare works. So I think I started forwarding that to my clients, and I think it just made them very easy to understand how it works, what they should do, what they shouldn't do. And then there was also a struggle, as in the color of the henna, as I mentioned. Some clients actually asked me, okay, do you have red natural henna? And do they say, I actually want this bright red natural henna only. Do you have that? So I got to know that, okay, people actually have these certain misconceptions about natural henna colors and all. So I actually wrote some, small article kind of a thing in my Instagram page as well, just to let them know what is natural henna and why can't we choose the colors. So I forward that link as well. And also prior to my bridal henna appointments, I actually send them a preparation list, how you should prepare for your henna session and how you should care for your henna after that. So they are quite familiar with that. And once I go and do the henna for them, while I'm doing it, I'll tell them, you should keep it on for about 8 hours. You just need to make sure that you don't touch the water, you apply the balm. So I just keep repeating it again and again. And even before I leave the house, I just tell them, okay, remember, don't wash, don't panic when you see orange color the next morning. It's all normal. The color will slowly transition from orange to brown. So I actually feel it's more of a reinforcing this information again and again. So I think they will eventually get it.
I okay, so one of the things for me is I love systems. I love having resources readily available so that with the click of a button, you can send it to your client and they have what they need. And
Yeah.
so I love that you made those resources available on Instagram for anyone to consume, but then also that you're sharing them with your clients, with your brides and so forth. That is invaluable. And I agree. I think when you're dealing with clients, especially brides, right? Anyone who's getting that specialty service where the color is important to them. It's not just the everyday henna. It has to be perfect. Giving them something that's tangible, giving them the form that they can read and make sure that they have it readily available to them. It's so important, and it's such a good customer service. Like, that's the thing. It's just good customer service so that they have the resources they need. But I find it interesting that with every package there is, these additional products being offered. Are they is it included? Is it presented to them as a gift? Here, this is a gift to help you with your aftercare, or is it something that your clients perceive that they're also purchasing?
My own bridal henna clients, it comes as a complimentary product together with their package. So they will not need to buy it. Unless, of course, they're getting a very simple package from me. So then it is not included.
Okay.
So when they're getting a heavy full covered package, it's already complimentary. So
Okay.
I provide it ready for them. They don't have to purchase it separately.
I love it. I love it. I think it's there's something that's like surprise and delight, right? There's this concept that I try to lead into with my clients: surprise them and delight them. And so to
Mm.
offer just a little small gift, and for them to perceive it to be a gift and not something like, oh, I paid for the package, so it's included, like it's just paid for. With it being
Mm.
perceived as a gift, it's a little bit more special, and I think that brings surprise and delight to
True.
that. And I love that.
Yeah.
So can you tell me the differences that the different, because you mentioned the aftercare balm and the aftercare oil. Could you mention the difference between the two, and is there a preference that you found with your clients that they prefer one over the other?
No, actually, it comes as a sequence of items that you use. So you start off with the sealant to let the space dry on the skin, and then the aftercare oil is basically just to soak on the paste, just for easy removal and for them to apply it every now and then. And balm is something that I strongly recommend them to wear, because a lot of Indian ceremonies, they have certain rituals that they have to do. And if the family members will have to perform certain rituals. So in those kind of rituals, it's always safe to apply the balm first, so that their stain will not be affected after performing the rituals. So that's something that I tell them, you whatever it is, just ensure that you apply the balm, and it should keep the stain waterproof. So I think so far they've been diligently, very disciplinedly following every instruction that I've given them. So they actually come out with very good stain turnouts.
Oh, I love it.
So I think reinforcing it again and again, it works.
Very cool. Very cool. You were saying that most of your clients and your customers, they're coming to you from Instagram. And so I wanted to know,
Mm.
did that happen like just organically, or were you very intentional with building your Instagram following for that purpose?
I'm actually still learning on my Instagram marketing. Honestly, I'm not there yet, but I'm slowly learning. The way I started, it wasn't anything strategic.
Mm.
It was just another social media tool. Only sometime after that, I realized that it's actually a very good marketing tool, and I started getting some inputs and some tips from my good friend. She's another well-known henna artist, TMK Henna. So she helps me with certain Instagram marketing tips and tricks also. So I think from that I've learned a lot of things, but I'm still trying to implement what I'm learning. So yeah,
Ah,
I didn't strategically started that. I just started exploring it, and now I've sort of got the hang of it. But there's still a long way for me to go.
I think with Instagram, there's always a long way to go. Like,
Mm. Yes,
I think
yes.
yeah, it's always changing. The algorithms are changing, like,
Mm,
and they're releasing new features,
true.
and you always have to learn something new. Just as soon as you think you've got the hang of it, then they make some different change. So I love that.
Yeah.
Today, do you know about how large is your Instagram following?
Okay. I just reached 3,000 followers about a week ago.
Ah,
So my
congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So actually, my Instagram growth has been quite slow and steady. So I'm just embracing every small step that I take.
Yeah. Can you I
Yeah.
have to tell you though, I think that a slow and steady Instagram following honestly is the best way to go. Especially
Mhm.
because if you have, even if I think sometimes we look at the numbers and we're looking for a really high number, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be that way to have a
Mm.
successful business. Like
Mm.
many times you find accounts that are very large, but then their
Mhm.
following is not close to them at all, so they'll never do business with them. But if you have a
Mm.
smaller, like the number can be smaller, but if the following is local, then
Okay.
that's where the money is. So it's
Mm.
always interesting to hear when you have someone who's focused on Instagram marketing, or using Instagram marketing as a tool, as a resource for their business, if that's that large following or not. To be honest, my following, I think right now for my business, for Cardamom Clove Henna, that one is also like, I'm just over 3,000 followers. Like I just cleared 3,000 followers earlier this year. But I'm a full-time artist too. And people, I think sometimes they look for the number, but I don't think that there's validation in the number. I think that it has to be the right people too. So it sounds like you're doing a great job at bringing the right people in. So good for you.
Thank you.
Of course. So let me ask you, we'll shift gears a little bit. I want to ask, what has been like, let me ask you this one. What's been the largest investment that you've made in your business to date?
To date, I will say it's the henna powders and the essential oils. So yeah, that's the largest investments. Yeah.
Okay. Has there ever been an investment that you've made in your business that you're like, I made this investment and I wish it would have given me a better return than what I got? Has there ever been an investment like that you've made?
No.
Oh,
no.
So you're a good
so far
spender.
I think I'm not very good at risk taking so much. So I'm very careful about investing and purchasing. So I guess I've been able to get the right items from my investment.
Oh, that's so cool. I tend to, so I'll tell you, I tend to be cautious, but then also like every so often I'll see something, I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy it. Oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. And then it opens me up it's a risk. It's a risk, but I think with it comes lesson. So I'm okay with it. I'll chalk it up and it's fine. So then because I know that you've mentioned taking the classes also, what sort of investments have you made in the education portion in furthering your business, perhaps not in a tangible way, but even in empowering yourself with knowledge and so forth?
So far, I think it was just that few classes that I did. I was actually intending to attend another henna conference this year. But I think I changed my mind after getting to know that they that they are not actually using a universal language. So I decided, because I was ready to invest some money to attend the conference to learn something, but sadly they were not planning to use a universal language for the conference. So I thought it wouldn't help me or benefit me if I'm not able to understand what they're trying to convey in the conference. So maybe not yet this year. If something else comes along, I would consider.
Okay. Have you been to any conferences before, or would that have been your first one?
So far, the only conferences was the 2 conferences I took part as a speaker. So I've not, apart from that, I've not attended any other conferences. Because in Malaysia, I think this was the first henna conference organized by Nakris mainly. Before that, we didn't have any. So I've attended these 2 so far.
I see. I think, I think attending a conference as an instructor versus attending as an attendee is a totally different experience. And so, you're when you're there as an attendee, you can just be there to take in the information and enjoy yourself. But when you're there as an instructor, you're in work mode too.
It was actually very challenging. I was for the first round, I wasn't very confident on myself because I had another 4 co-speakers along with me, and 4 of them are already very well known in Malaysia. Like you just mentioned their name, and everyone would know who they are. And being together in a team with them, I felt very intimidated. I kept questioning myself if I knew that I was not there yet. So somehow, Nakris, she actually gave me the opportunity to teach on henna mixing itself during the first conference. And that was actually very intimidating because I have these 4 so-called henna giants with me, and to be teaching henna paste mixing in front of them, that was I was actually sweating while teaching because I was afraid of making any mistakes in front of them. But I think it actually turned out okay. It turned out well. So I taught them paste mixing in the first round, and then I talked to them about henna and health. That was my main topic. And then that's how I came into conference thingy as a speaker.
Oh my gosh, I relate to that. I remember the first conference that I spoke at. I too, I was like, I'm teaching next to these people who like they've been teaching for years and they've been doing henna for years, and why am I here? Why did they pick me? And I think yeah, but you have to lean in. I think as women and as female business owners and as creatives, right? It can be hard to remember to just to affirm ourselves too. Like imposter syndrome is real, and I deal with this a lot. I try to be very open about it when I deal with it, but imposter syndrome is a real thing. So for us to be in an arts in an art industry, and that's female led, and like there's so much opportunity for comparison to sneak in and to kind of steal the joy that we might have for really what's an amazing achievement, which is you were invited to speak at a conference, right? So I relate to that a lot. After the conference, what type of feedback did you get from the attendees and from the other organizers regarding your talks?
I was actually quite overwhelmed because I actually spoke about G6PD. I mean, how it can natural henna can affect people with G6PD. Of course, it involved a lot of scientific terms. But then the participants and even my co-speakers, they said it was not at all very scientific, that they could all understand what I was trying to talk about. So, I mean, hearing those feedback actually made me feel quite confident after that I actually delivered something worth or something good.
Yeah.
So, and actually I had a very supportive team. They didn't see me as someone with very less followers. To be honest, I think when I started with the henna conference, I had like less than 500 followers. So that was why I was very intimidated. But they never treated me as such. They were very encouraging. They were very supportive. And I think now we are all good friends. All of us are actually very good friends. So from co-speakers, we are now actually more well known as good friends.
That's the best. That's the best. That makes me so happy. And I love that you talked about G6PD. I feel like, especially for newer artists who come in, they're very unaware of G6PD and its implications for people who are getting henna done or who would like to get henna done. For the purposes of educating our viewers today, do you mind, can you give like a little clip about what G6PD is and why it's important for henna artists to know about it?
Okay, well, G6PD, it's actually glucose 6-hydrogenase phosphate. Okay, that's actually an enzyme. And the problem comes on people who lack this enzyme, and that disease is known as G6PD deficiency. In people who have this disease, actually that enzyme helps our red blood cells membrane to actually stay intact. So the moment someone lacks this enzyme, certain triggers causes their red blood cell to be very fragile and to just pop every now and then. So I think most of us know that red blood cells carries our oxygen, our hemoglobin. So once we have all these red blood cells popping here and there, we can actually know that we're going to be having lacking of oxygen and also maybe anemia. So one of the things that causes the trigger in this G6PD deficiency is actually natural henna. Surprisingly and also sadly, so people who are known to have G6PD deficiency are actually discouraged from getting themselves adorned with natural henna.
Mhm. Mhm.
So for those who are wondering if how do they get G6PD deficiency, is it contagious or whatever? Actually, G6PD deficiency is a inherited disease. So it's a X chromosome linked disease. So it comes from either of the parents. So only if your chromosomes are affected, someone gets the disease, and it's not contagious or whatever.
Mhm. I think that it's always interesting when we talk about the history of henna and how um people, we think of henna historically being used on women, but we know that G6PD is carried on that X chromosome. So if you have a male who has
Mm,
inherited that
mm.
chromosome, then of course now you've got someone who is
Immediately is
th-
yeah.
yeah, at risk. And so with females,
Mm,
because it is still that recessive trait, they have two X chromosomes.
correct.
Even if they have
Yeah.
it, they don't have to worry. So it's easier for
True.
us to, when we think about the history of henna and the context in which henna has
Mm,
been used on women, it's like, well,
mm.
it's not harmful in most cases for women, unless they've got it on both of those X chromosomes, which is more
Yeah.
unlikely. But for men, of course, they have a much higher
Yes.
opportunity, a 50% higher chance
Higher
of
risk.
having G6PD um,
True.
uh, diagnosis. So, which I think is it's interesting. Now, I know that for some, like there are certain ethnicities where G6PD is like more highly expected, especially like North African and Arab
Mm,
lineages,
mm,
which is also interesting when you see like men getting henna done. I'll give the example. My husband is from Sudan, and in Sudan, men will get henna done on their wedding, but it's very little. They'll get some on their palm and
mm,
across their knuckles. But that
mm,
really is kind of the limit. And
mm.
other than that,
Yeah.
it's like, no. But
Not
that
beyond
also,
that.
yeah, that's also, that's a group of people who would be in, what's the word here? I guess inclined to have that, not inclined for, that's not the word I'm looking for, but that's the word I got. Inclined to have this deficiency. So very cool. Thank you for sharing for sharing the knowledge. Is there do you
No
recommend
problem.
for anyone to ask particular questions of their clients or so forth to identify that G6PD is something that they should consider, or do you recommend that they actively ask these questions of their clients prior to offering services? Um, what do you have to say on that point?
Well, I actually during my personal classes and during the henna conference itself, yes, I've told the participants that they can actually ask this question if they have G6PD deficiency. But I think in Malaysia we don't really see that many number of cases. But I think we should. I think it should come as one of the questions that we should ask for our future clients if they are known G6PD deficiency.
Hmm.
I think we should start.
I th- I think here in the U.S., typically G6PD is diagnosed typically somewhere around age 5 or 6. By no, like that's the average. If this exists, they will know about it by around that age. So, like in my
Mm,
own business, I try to protect myself by choosing not to offer henna services to children who are younger than that. Um,
mm.
but I think it's an interesting conversation, and it's one that's not often had, which is why I love that you are able to share your expertise also with us. So let's shift gears a little bit once more. I want to ask, in Malaysia. So obviously, I'm in the U.S. I have no idea what the average henna appointment goes for in Malaysia. Typically, when people are seeking services, are they looking normally for that just one-off appointment, or do they prefer to get henna mostly for bridal and engagement and so forth?
Here, of course, for their major events, weddings, registration of marriage, weddings, engagements. So these kind of events, yes, they do come and get. Apart from that, festive henna is also very popular. For example, this recent Eid celebration, yeah, we actually saw so many henna artists being busy throughout the whole week, engaged with festive henna. And also, what's great about Malaysia is that we are a multicultural nation. So we actually celebrate everyone's festivals. So we have Chinese New Year, we have Deepavali, we have Christmas celebrations. So I think basically every festive season, there is a craze to actually get henna done for any festive season that they're celebrating. So apart from that, you can also see henna bazaars, or henna booths in certain bazaars or certain charity events. So I think it has become like a part and parcel of any celebration or carnival kind of a thing. That you will definitely see a henna booth at the corner.
Ah, I love it. I love I yeah. I think I mean here the trend of henna is growing, but still you don't see it like everywhere. Like I have to remind people like, "Oh, you can get henna for this thing." And "Oh, I didn't think about that." So I love that the community is already very informed about using henna also to celebrate. When you're talking about festival henna, or if just henna, smaller appointments, small, perhaps at a festival or an event or a pop up, what's the average cost that people would typically pay in Malaysia?
Well, so far, I think there are a lot of charity or other booths that they do not really charge because they actually want to attract the crowd.
Mm.
So, hold on, sorry, something is falling down. Okay. Um, if not for that, I've not really participated in booths so much, so
Mm.
I'm not really aware of how much they would charge. But I think in bigger carnivals, I think it can go up to maybe 200 or 300 ringgit per day, small area. Yeah.
Mm.
So you will actually need to make more money than that to actually cover the rental. Mm.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What?
Mm.
Oh, you're gonna have to help me out. I don't know the conversions. I'm like, am I gonna have to Google this? Let's see.
I think it's 4 times, close to 4 times. Malaysian rate close to 4 times for US currency.
And you said it's how much average for a cost of a booth?
About 200 to 300 ringgit.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna do the math because I'm intrigued. I want to know. So about $75 US dollars for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Is
okay.
it normal for US rate?
That's actually for us. That would be on the low side. Like if we're $75 booth for us would be like at a small craft fair. Definitely not a
Mm.
large event. Like for a very large event for us here, I'd say on average somewhere for a 1 day event, 175 to 250 would be like a good sized festival. Like
Mm.
medium size. You only need one artist there.
Okay. And for us, it's basically not really a whole booth. If it's a large event, we are actually mostly sharing a small space with another large vendor
Ah, so it's
most
just
of the
like a
time per
table.
se.
I
Mm.
see, I see. Well, I think that makes
Yeah.
sense then. Like here, if you were doing like a small pop-up, when I say like one of the craft shows or like a small art
Mm.
shows, then that's exactly how it would be. Just a table, normally not even a tent. Like
Yeah.
you would just have the table there and you're
Mm.
working. And $75 I think would be about consistent. That's
Yeah.
interesting. So what about bridal henna? Are there multiple, because I know that you mentioned that sometimes they'll have a higher package versus a lower package. Do most artists offer multiple packages, and what's the going rate in Malaysia for those varying coverages?
I think the variety of packages that's very common here is going by the length of the henna.
Mm.
Um, because certain events you wouldn't want a very elaborate henna design. So I think it starts with the wrist and then goes to the mid arm and then the elbow. So I think it varies according to the length. So usually for weddings, brides like to go up to their elbow length. So for elbow length, the prices that I've normally seen here is starts from our ringgit Malaysia 500. It can even go up to 850, 900, 1000, depending on the artist, how detailed your work is, and also how popular they are. So that's
Ah,
the starting price and how further high it can get.
I see. I see. Mm, when the okay, I thought it was interesting that you that you mentioned how popular they are is also a thing, because Malaysia is it's in comparison to here. Of course, it's a quite a small country, and so definitely I can imagine there being it. Well, you'll have to tell me because I don't know. I don't know. Is it possible for an artist, like let's say I'm a very popular artist in Malaysia? Is it easy for me to travel around within the country and reach just about any community?
Yeah, there shouldn't be a problem in traveling around. It's just the matter of where that area that they want to travel is, because some states, I mean, it all varies between few hours. From the north to south, yeah, maybe from the north to south you will need a flight to get earlier, within 1-2 hours. But I think if you're driving, it can easily take about 7 to 8 hours just to drive from the north to the south.
Hmm. I see.
So typically, you want to get anywhere um, within the Semenanjung Malaysia, or the East Malaysia they call it. If you want to get anywhere there, it's mostly by driving. You also have bus services. We also have train services. So I think getting around here and there isn't much of a problem. We also have internal flights for certain states. So I don't think it's a big challenge. It's just that a matter of distance, and also is the client willing to cover the travel cost
Right.
to
That's
get
why
there.
I asked. Yeah, that's why I asked. I remember long ago, when Sharaskin, she would travel a fee. She would charge a travel fee. And I remember like yesterday because when I first started with Henna, she was the first artist I ever saw who was full time also. And I was very inspired by that. And but I remember her including that there's this travel fee and like seeing her in the taxi and doing the things, and me thinking, wow, okay, this is something that people do versus having the person come to you, which at that time I only had people come to me. I never went out. So and typically, do you find that most of the artists in your area are also traveling around, or do they have physical locations where people will come to them?
Most of the henna artists I know are traveling to the customer's location.
I see.
Yeah, most of them are traveling to the customer's location.
And with the designs, because I found this very interesting about what you said about the fees being by the length of the hand. So it not do artists there typically not charge per hour?
Not really. I think most of the artists here do not charge by hour. Most of the artists here charge by the maybe the level of intricacy,
Mhm.
and mainly the length of the henna.
Wow.
So it goes
Wow.
by the length.
So how quickly, can I ask, how quickly does it take you to do a bridal piece?
Okay, for me, a bridal piece, I would assume it's elbow length. So elbow length for me typically takes about 4 to 5 hours, less than 5.
With the wraparound?
Yep,
And are you
wrap around. And feet, simple design on feet till ankle. So the whole set takes me about 4 to 5 hours.
wow, you're fast. You're fast. I love it. I love it. Can I, there's something I mentioned, there being a very specific style that at least that I associate with the henna designs that are done in Singapore and Malaysia and Indonesia specifically. Have you found that most of your clients are looking for a particular look, or do they really seek out the artist who's got like very different designs?
um, Again, is it about clients looking for the design?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's the because there seems to be a very uniform look. Like when I think about designs that are in that region, I'm thinking very much like mandalas and
Uh-huh.
then what is it like
Dome.
The dome shapes, exactly. And just a very simple fill, like floral fill in between.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think of when I think about that region. Do you find that most clients prefer that style, or are the
Oh,
clients now looking for artists who have a different style as well?
I think clients' tastes are very much influenced by the designs they see,
Mm,
because most of the time they already have an idea of what designs they want, because now you can get designs practically from anywhere. You can search anyone's Instagram profile or Pinterest, so they typically find certain designs that they like, and sometimes they just say that this is the elements that they like, and then it gives us an idea of how we can come up with a particular design. And then of course there's a lot of popular henna artists here who um, clients love to follow them for their uniqueness of their designs. So sometimes they do request to replicate that particular henna artist's work into their henna work as well. So that cases, I mean, if we do get a request like that, I think it's very important for us to credit the original artist, to tell them that this is their design and we are actually replicating it for the client's request.
always such a good idea. It's so ethical. Such a good practice. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So let me ask you, like over the course of these years and over the course of your journey as a henna artist and business owner, what has been the biggest lesson that you've learned?
For newcomers, biggest lesson I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for me, biggest lesson I've learned is to go on your own pace. Sometimes we may feel very overwhelmed to see, sometimes even I do, looking how fast or what peers are doing and what are you doing, why are you so lagging behind. Sometimes I feel it gets very pressurized, but I think we should not pressure ourselves so much. um, for me, I like the phrase, it does not matter how slow you go as long as you don't stop. That phrase is by Confucius. So don't race, go in your own pace. Grab whatever opportunities that comes along your way. So that was what I did. I saw a henna class, I joined. I saw a henna meet, I joined. I saw Shaira Skins coming, I joined. I saw your invitation for an interview and I applied. So you just grab whatever opportunities that comes along your way, and then you just give your best shot at it, and I believe that the right opportunities will come. Right, that's, yeah, I
Uh,
think that's the biggest lesson I've learned so far.
that's such a good one. Honestly, that's such a good one. I think we can feel so perhaps sometimes we pressure ourselves, and sometimes those around us, we feel pressure, we perceive pressure from them, intentionally or not intentionally, either way. But um that pressure of, okay, am I doing enough, am I going fast enough, am I growing fast enough,
Mm.
am I that concept of being enough, um I think it can hold us back. So I really love that insight of choosing to just continue. And the quote that you shared is perfect. It doesn't matter how slow you go as long as you don't stop. I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
Let me ask, if you were to provide one piece of advice, if let's say you're just going to leave a note and tuck it in an envelope and leave it somewhere for that henna artist who's coming up two steps behind you in their journey, what words would you say to them? What advice or encouragement or suggestion would you leave for them?
I would say follow your pace, follow what interests them. I think the more that they hear and listen out to what makes them happier, just follow that. And for me, I think it's very important for you to follow henna artists or anyone who seems to inspire, or people who you can learn from. So for me, I like to follow a lot of henna artists, not only locally but abroad as well. sometimes they tend to teach certain things, or they tend to share certain tricks. So you follow them to learn these things, and then you can actually apply it on your own whatever products that you're doing or whatever. So I think once you learn and you listen from all of this, and then you try to see whether it works or not, I think it's all about trial and error. You cannot expect something to happen perfectly in the first try. So if it doesn't work the first try, go on for the second one. So just keep doing something until you find, okay, this is the one that works for me. So keep going. And if you happen to use something that a certain henna artist have taught you or inspired you, I think it's very important just to maybe say a thank you to them or credit them, just to mention, oh, this is something I've learned from this henna artist, you know. So I think crediting, saying thank you, I think they will feel happy also knowing that someone have learned from them. I think that will motivate them even better. So just keep going. That's what I'll say. Just keep going. Grab every opportunities that you get along the way.
Ah, such a good one. Oh, such good. I think that's excellent advice. Yeah, no, it's excellent advice. And I particularly like what you said about gratitude, expressing gratitude, because you do, when you're someone who's sharing what you do and sharing what you love, it is so amazing to hear from someone else, hey, I learned this thing from you, and maybe you didn't even expect to be teaching. You're just talking, and for them to hear that and say, wow, okay, that means that someone got something from what I said, and that really is affirming. And I think, with that in mind, that definitely that extends to you also, in that you joined us today here, you're sharing your expertise, you're sharing your insight and so forth. And so I want to thank you for that. The first thing I would love to know, on social media, online, on the web, where can people connect with you outside of today's interview?
They can connect with me through my Instagram page, Shirley'z Henna Artwork, and I also have my Facebook page, Shirley'z Henna Artwork as well. Hold on a sec, I'll get my name card. It's spelled on.
Oh, those are beautiful. I love the color.
Is it clear?
It looks pretty clear for me here. Worth mentioning, it's Shirley's with a Z.
Yes, Shirley's with a Z.
Perfect. Okay. Yes. Well, we'll definitely have to share it. And also, because again, it's keeping in that theme of gratitude, I think it's really important for us also, we sat with you today, we learned from you today, we heard about your experiences. And so I think it's important for us also to give gratitude to you by supporting you in whatever your next things are. So I would love it if you could tell me, is there a way that the Hennapreneur community, or the Henna community at large can help support you and your business?
Maybe just take a look at my page, see what I have shared, or maybe just take a look at my work. The information I've shared on natural henna, you can just take a look at it and maybe just give me feedbacks or what you think of it. I think those things will be very helpful for me to know what people actually think about it, and if it's actually helpful, or if there's anything that I can improve from that, and if there's something that I can do to make it better. Even when it comes to my products, if there's something else that I can introduce, those kind of feedbacks, I think those will be very helpful.
Awesome. I love it. I think that's something that we can do. Thank you so much, Shirley. I so appreciate you spending time with me today. And
thank you, Chelsea.
No, it's been the pleasure.
I appreciate your time as well. The way you have organized everything, and even you have spent a lot of time as well, so I appreciate that a lot.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. I love this, and I love being able to hear about other artists and what's working for them, and hear just their journey. It's so much fun to know. Oh, thank you for sharing with me. I will let you go, and I'm so looking forward to seeing you further at the Hennapreneur community.
Thank you.
All right, I'll see you, love. Bye.
Bye.